if you're calling from Toronto, good afternoon if you're from West Coast, and good day if you're calling from other time zones. So my name is Babak, and I'm one of the managers of Fenavaran Group. As you may know, Fenavaran is a group of engineering and management association. So we started about more than a year ago, and we help mainly immigrant or people that started their careers recently, or if they are in the mid-career, they want to switch their career. So we help them to find jobs, get designation. We offer many training on softwares, and we're here to help. So we started this group when pandemic hit, and it grows and grows. And today we have Soroush back again with us. So I think this is the third session that we have this partnership with Soroush on lead designation. So today he will talk about why we need lead and what kind of career you are looking for. Basically, it's good if you are in as a mechanical engineer, architect, civil or energy management or environment management group. You can have this lead designation to help you. This is an interactive session. If you have any questions, so you can unmute yourself or raise your hand. I'm gonna moderate the session, so we can have the Q&A between the session. But after his presentation, so he will have a 20-minute Q&A at the end, so we can have all the questions at the end if you can wait until that time. Soroush, you should unmute yourself. You can hear me?
I'm good, yeah.
And yeah, so Soroush he has a master's degree from Guelph University. He's a mechanical engineer, and he's working on the correct me if I'm wrong, but working on this lead designation for a while. So he has a very good experience. He had taught many courses for us so far, and we are glad that we have him back. So floor is all yours, and I'm going to unmute myself.
All right. Thanks, Babak. It's been my pleasure working with Fenavaran, and thanks for having me back again. Good evening, everyone. My name is Soroush. As Babak mentioned, I have a master's degree in mechanical engineering, energy conversion, and as part of my interest, I went through lead designation, and I've been involved with it for about 2 years. At the moment, I'm working with complete group of companies. Basically, we do energy management, HVAC retrofit projects, and lots of energy saving projects in Toronto and GTA. Before I start, I would like to ask everyone if they could please keep the video on, because as Babak mentioned, I would like to have a discussion on this presentation, because I'm personally not a fan of virtual meetings and presentations, so I think this is a good way to avoid having a boring presentation. So I will give a couple of seconds to the audience. If you could please turn your video on, that would be very appreciated. All right, thanks people. I'm seeing you guys. Nice meeting you, everyone. All right, I guess I'm gonna have about half an hour or maybe a little bit more, and we are gonna have 15 to 20 minutes for the question and answer session. Please jump in anytime. I'm not a teacher here, I'm a presenter, so I would be happy to discuss at any moment. Before I go to the next slide, I would like everyone to have a look at this photo that we have. What can you understand from this photo? There are a lot in this photo which are kind of basics of the lead, and I guess it will give you a very good insight of this session, what we are going to talk about. So if you could please unmute yourself and start the discussion from now.
Everything is green?
That's great. Everything is green. Yeah. What else?
There are renewable energies, net zero buildings.
Okay, renewable energies, net zero building. That's good. What else we have over here?
Decrease the energy consumption.
Very good. Yeah.
People biking.
Mm-hmm. So
looks like we have some solar panels to use the energy of the sun's energy.
That's great. So that's part of the renewable energy plan, which is encouraged in the lead. And one of our audience mentioned about these guys are basically riding a bicycle.
About the well-being?
Sorry, what?
About the well-being?
Exactly, yeah. We are not...
And wind energy.
Yes, renewable energies, very good. Who wants to talk about different kind of buildings that we are seeing and they are basically beside each other? What does it do?
Clean air?
Clean air is good, yeah. What about these buildings, different type of the buildings that we have over here?
Yeah, we see
Energy.
residential offices.
Okay.
Save energy.
Very good, yeah. So basically we have different kind of the building. It means that when I'm working on a lead projects, when I want to locate my project, it's best to select a location where it's close to other amenities. For example, if you assume this is my residential building, I want it to be close to the malls, close to the retails, close to the offices. So these residents, they can easily go to next buildings by walking or riding a bike. So I want to reduce the transportation over here. And as the other friend mentioned, well-being of this guy because they're riding a bike. Okay, that was great. Let's start and see what else we have. All right, basically I'm gonna start with a very quick introduction. Let's see when the story got started and what happened that we are talking about LEED these days. Then I'm gonna talk about LEED itself, what does the exam look like, and at the end we are gonna have a question and discussion session. All right, let's have a look at the first photo here. We are gonna talk about population. Let's see what we had at 1850, basically when it was industrial revolution. So look at the population, and now we are 2019 or 2020, we are about 7.7 billion, and by 2100, it's expected to be about 10.9 billion. Okay, so look at this trend for now. That was the first point. Let's see what else we have. The people, they want to have the comfort situation. For that one, we need to build buildings. What kind of buildings? The buildings that can provide them with thermal comfort situation. I want the lighting to be perfect, temperature to be perfect, ventilation, everything be perfect. Okay, these buildings, they need energy in order to provide you with that thermal comfort situation or whatever that satisfies the residents. Let's see where this energy comes from. We have 33% oil, 27% coal, 21% gas, and the rest renewables, hydro, and nuclear. This is global, so I'm not going to talk about Ontario, which is more than 50% nuclear. And I don't know nuclear is a clean energy or not. I'm not really a fan of it. So as you can see, a lot of energy consumed by the buildings are coming from fossil fuels. Right? And these fossil fuels, they are huge infrastructures. It's not something that I can say, okay, next year I'm gonna use all nuclear, I'm gonna use all renewables. It has to be planned. So you cannot say within 5 years, I'm gonna get rid of the fossil fuels, no. Now let's see what are the main energy consumers. I've got buildings, either it could be residential or commercial. I have transportation and I have industry. Let's focus on buildings and transportation. For the buildings, the main energy users are heating systems, cooling systems, the same thing for commercial. So from here, I learned that heating and cooling is a big load on the energy use. Very good. Okay, now for the energy, since the Industrial Revolution, humans, they learned, okay, let's burn something, get the energy from it. Let's burn oil, let's burn whatever, like I have fossil fuels. Now let's have a look at the amount of carbon dioxide emissions by world region. If you look at 1850, when was the starting of the Industrial Revolution, basically this is the time that James Watt invested a steam engine. It was less than 5 billion tons of carbon dioxide, and now we are talking about 35 billion tons of carbon dioxide. So what is the result of this increase in carbon dioxide emissions? Can anybody jump in?
Air pollution.
Air pollution is one of them. What else we have?
And global warming.
Sorry, what?
Global warming.
Global warming and climate change. And if you look at this trend, it's very concerning. We cannot continue like this. It's not going to work because, as you can see, this global warming, the climate change is something very serious. Okay, let's have a look at the next slide. Now we talked about the increase in the population, energy sources, fossil fuels, and the emissions. What is the plan now? What do you think? What should we do? Maybe the first one, when I was young, I was always thinking renewable energies is the only and the best option. But now I'm not in favor of it that much. What do you think about this statement? Can renewable energies be something reliable?
The renewable energy is something that we get from the nature. So for example, from the sun or from the wind. So if in some day we don't have maybe a sunny day or windy day, so maybe we lost the energy that we need in that day.
That was a great answer. Who else wants to jump in? So renewable energy is not kind of reliable. And what else? What is the main challenge that utilities companies are dealing with these days? Peaking hours or peak hours. What will happen during the peak hours? Anyone knows? What will happen when we hit the peak hours?
More demand.
More demand. And what will happen? Imagine in Toronto, sometimes in summer, we are having a heat wave. Outside the feels like 40 degrees. Everyone needs to stay at home. The cooling load is at its maximum. So what will happen at this point?
We have heat island.
Okay. Let's focus on the peak hours only for now.
There will be a huge load.
There will be a huge load which is not regular. What does it mean? So let's say for now I am at almost 7 p.m. We are kind of past the peak hours. So the utilities companies are running on the base power plants. For example, in Ontario, I'm running my nuclear plants. But when it goes to the peak hours, we have some power plants called peaker plants. Basically, those peaker plants are fossil fuels that are very small plants. They are not running continuously. So it burns fossil fuel, means more emission. And when I talk about not running continuously, it means that I'm having so much trouble in terms of the maintenance, right? Because I want my power plant runs continuously. So for that, I cannot rely on renewable energies. Maybe at some points I can, at some countries, but it depends on the location. So from the first statement, I concluded that I can use renewable energies, but it's not the only solution here. The next statement is talking about energy efficient building. What does this mean? What is energy efficient building?
It means that the balance between the use of energy and the performance of the building.
So basically, they are high performance buildings. Does it mean that, for example, if my building is energy efficient, does it mean that, okay, I'm gonna turn off my heater or turn off my AC and I save energy and say, okay, this is energy efficient? Is this a statement correct?
Maybe.
No.
Somebody said maybe, the other friend said no. Who wants to elaborate more on this?
You can also, sorry, you can also type in the chat box if you want, so you can say yes, no there.
Yeah, we'll monitor chat box for sure.
Yes, my answer would be.
So your answer is yes, and you're claiming that I have to turn off my heater, turn off my AC, and say, okay, I'm saving energy, which is good. Okay. One of my friends said no. Who was that?
So at the end of the day, we want to be sustainable. So sustainability means that you would meet the demands, you would keep everyone happy, and then you try to reduce your energy consumption. So if you turn off the AC, or I don't know, like get out of the thermal comfort zone, and then you say I'm saving energy, it's not good. It's actually the worst thing you can do to sustainability. So yes, if you can meet the demand and then turn off or reduce the consumption, that's great. But before being energy efficient, the most important thing is to meet at least the comfort zone and the comfort of the residents.
Exactly. Thanks so much for this comment. So in LEED, I am talking about having energy efficient buildings while I am satisfying my people. I want my residents to have thermal comfort situation while the system is running efficient. So the correct statement is this one. Don't think that if I'm having a green building or if I'm having a LEED certified building, it means that I am cutting the demand. No, I'm still satisfying my residents while saving the energy. Okay, that was a good statement. The other one is talking about let's develop green or cleaner transportation strategies. Basically, it means if I can use bicycles, let's just do it. Let's use green vehicles. But in terms of using bicycles, what are the items, what are the features of the site that I have to consider?
Diversity uses near my building.
Exactly. If you remember in the first slide, I said, have a look at these photos. They are different kind of buildings close to each other. So you can ride a bicycle and get to your destination, right? But I cannot say from, let's say I live in Oakville, I want to go to downtown Toronto. I cannot ride a bicycle, right? It doesn't make sense. So the location of the site, the location of the LEED building, I have to consider diverse usage. Means that let's select a building in downtown Toronto. Basically in downtown Toronto with a bicycle, you can go everywhere, right? That was a good point. What else I'm missing here?
Bicycle path.
Bicycle network or bicycle path, yeah. Now let's look at this one. What else? Have you ever heard of energy management, demand response program? Who knows about these two terms?
Are you talking about the transportation strategies, or are you talking about the bicycles?
No, we are talking about the last one. There is something that we missed, which is about how to manage energy properly.
It is not just transportation of people, it is also transportation of materials, like building materials that we should consider.
Very good point, yeah. What else?
How about putting a BS system and using metering to track my consumption and see if I am actually saving energy and on kilowatt hour and dollar value?
Exactly. So BIS or building automation systems is kind of energy management, which has a very good return of investment, and so many buildings are working on BIS. But I want to emphasize on demand response program. It's something very challenging for the utility companies. Basically, for high-rise buildings, when you are sizing your equipment, let's say your chiller, your boilers, they size it for the peak days or peak hours. For example, as I mentioned, in Toronto during summer, we are going to have a heat wave for a couple of days. The equipment that I size is going to meet those couple of days. And utility companies, they have to provide you with the required power during the peak hours. They have to run the peaker plants. Peaker plants is a troublemaker. So you have to remember this. What is the strategy here that I can do? How to avoid use of peaker plants?
So if you can save energy somewhere, and then in the peak time you use that saved energy, that'd be a good idea.
Exactly. For example, how we can save energy?
Yeah, there are different technologies. Like I guess one of the ones that is already being used in Toronto is ice banks.
Ice storage systems, exactly. So basically what my friend is saying, let's save the energy when it's cheap, means during the night, save the energy. Instead of running my peaker plants during the peak hours, let's use that saved energy which was saved during the night. This is something called demand response program. LEED is working on this one, and for the next version, we are going to have a very detailed information on this strategy. Okay, that was great. So in order to overcome these issues, either we can develop some guidelines or we have some green rating systems. Let's see what are those. For the guidelines, we have ASHRAE. Both mechanical engineers, architects, environmental engineers, they can use this one. For example, I have ASHRAE 90.1. ASHRAE 90.1 is the minimum energy performance standards. It says that an average building with an average cost should meet this baseline, ASHRAE 90.1. Now, I want to have a better plan. ASHRAE is saying, okay, let's use ASHRAE 199, or let's use ASHRAE 50%. Basically, 50% means it's 50% more efficient than the base design, which is ASHRAE 90.1. But this is just a guideline. It's not a rating system. It cannot say, okay, my building is ASHRAE certified. No, I don't have this. For rating systems, I have two options, the two most popular ones. The first one is LEED, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, which I will talk about it in details. The second one is something called Green Globes. Basically, Green Globes is something in favor of industrial facilities. It put more flexibilities, but I still prefer LEED, and in North America, LEED is the best rating system and the most popular one. Any questions so far before I get started? So we talked about ASHRAE, we talked about Green Globes, and we talked about LEED. If there is no question, let's start the LEED. Okay, so this was the story that we had to make some plans or develop some rating systems. And these days we are hearing about LEED a lot. LEED is the acronym of Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It was developed in 1998. Who owns it? USGBC, US Green Building Council, which was established in 1993. What is LEED? As I said, it's a rating system. You can see LEED in 4 different phases: design, construction, operation and maintenance, and the last phase, which is demolition. Who can help me for the design part? Let's say I want to have a LEED building. During the design, before the construction, what are the items that I could consider to have a LEED building?
A good isolation for example, for the walls or for the windows, maybe.
Okay, yeah. Building envelope.
Photovoltaic.
Use of energy resources. Okay, what else? We are
water recovery.
Sorry, what?
Water recovery.
Okay, water efficient systems. We are missing something, guys. The
Day-night use.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Daylight, using daylight as much as possible.
Exactly, which our architects will take care of this part for the LEED buildings.
A geographical location where my building is going to be built.
I want to have a
material.
Material, location, but I want to emphasize on location. Again, don't go and select the project which is nowhere. I want my building to be close to amenities, right? Location is super, super important. Okay, how about construction? What are the terms and factors that we have to consider during construction?
Material transportation again. Design is helping a lot as well.
Let's say I want to build a high-rise condo close to downtown Toronto, close to the lake. What are the challenges here? The pollutions, right? So I have to make a pollution plan. I don't want those pollutants get into my lake, get into the air, right? What about O&M, which is operation and maintenance? Let's say I've built my building, now I want to maintain it. What are the items I have to do? Does anyone know about the term commissioning?
Yeah.
What is commissioning?
With commissioning, you want to make sure that your building, after a few months or years, is still working as efficient as it was supposed to work, it was designed for. So time to time, you send a commissioner to check the mechanical systems and systems like incorporated in the building, and try to get it to the design factors.
Yeah, basic of design. Exactly. The same as your car, your building needs some maintenance, needs some adjustment, which you have to do it every while. For example, you have to balance the flow. It could be airflow or the heat transfer fluid flow in order to ensure your equipment is running at the efficient point. So we have commissioning here. Now let's talk about the last phase of building, demolition. What does it mean?
So I think when your building has aged enough, like at the end of life cycle, what are you going to do with the building? So are you able to recycle the materials, or it's going to just like be out of use?
Exactly. So I want to see what are the materials that I can reuse for the new building, right? So in demolition, we have to consider this one as well. Okay. LEED rating system is something that it's measurable and it's practical. It's not saying that, okay, I want a building with 90% energy efficiency. No. It's something that is based on the logic and experience. So they know this is possible, these terms are possible, and they know that it's measurable. If I'm saying my building is using 40% less utility, it's something that I have to measure it, and I can measure it. So we have to understand this. What are the main LEED building goals? I want to be sustainable. What does sustainability mean?
So sustainability has three pillars, one of them being economy, the other one considering the society, and the other one the environment. So if you want to be sustainable, you should meet all of these together.
Or let's make it easier. Sustainability means that if I'm using it now, use it in a way that you can keep something for the next generation. So don't use all of the resources, right? This is the term of sustainability. And I want my building to be resource efficient. How I can have a building which is resource efficient? I can put a good building envelope in my building so I won't have heat losses. So not to burn too much fossil fuels. And the most important thing for LEED building is to meet something called triple bottom line. What is triple bottom line? So triple bottom line is 3P: people, planet, and profit. Why I'm talking about profit? Let's say you are a building developer, you are building a building. I come to you and say, hey, let's build a LEED building. Is that enough for you? Because developers usually, they just think about the money, right? So LEED buildings, they should be justifiable, meaning that if I'm spending some money at the initial stages, meaning at the construction and design phase, I have to ensure that my building is paying back that money. This is a term that convinces the developer to go through LEED buildings. I'm going to explain this more and we are going to have a discussion. So I said triple bottom line means people, planet, and profit, dollar. For the people or social benefits, basically I want to provide them with a comfort situation. For example, let's have better indoor environmental quality. Let's have better ventilation rate. Let's have better thermal situation. Let's have better acoustic comfort. And they are going to be healthier. How they can be healthier in a LEED building? Let's say in your office, the ventilation is not proper. Somebody is smoking outside, all the smoke comes in, and you get a headache of it. But LEED buildings, we consider all of these items. I want a proper ventilation rate. Now let's talk about planet or environmental benefits. What are the benefits in terms of environment? I want to protect wildlife. Don't build your building in a restricted area. I don't want my air and water get polluted. I don't want to have extra waste. And I want to prevent natural resources depletion. These two items I think is pretty straightforward, but now let's talk about profit. This profit is the term that LEED consultants or the engineers, they have to work around it to say, okay, if you are building a building, if you want to go through LEED certification, you're going to pay, I don't know, 5%, 10% extra, but you're going to have your money back in a couple of years. We'll talk about the return of investment for the LEED buildings. And you will get higher property value. And the other good thing is, in most of the countries, especially in North America, government gives you some incentives. So you can get a percentage of the initial cost from the government. The other item is higher employee productivity. What does this mean? How can LEED buildings satisfy this term? Who wants to jump in on this one?
So if you have a better ventilation and a better lighting and better everything, the productivity of your people inside the building would go up and they would have a better time.
Okay, so better ventilation. What else?
Better lighting.
I need something from our architects.
Sound conservation, so you don't hear the cars, the horns, the traffic. It's all insulated, so I keep concentrated in my office if I'm working.
Yeah, or acoustic comfort. Who knows about a term called quality views? I guess our architects, they should be able to help us over here. What is quality views?
Stair glazing.
Sorry, what?
Stair glazing.
What does it mean?
I mean when the solar radiation comes through the windows and just ruin your vision and something like this.
Consider this case. You're working in a room without any window, And compare it to the case that you're at the penthouse level, you have a beautiful view of the lake, jungle, people walking around. What's the difference between these two cases?
I think about the quality.
Quality. By the nature of the humans, you want to be connected to outside. Always remember this. If
That's
you work,
biophilia, you mean?
sorry, what?
That's biophilia, you mean?
I'm not familiar with the term biophilia. If you could explain more, I would appreciate.
It's the connection between human and nature.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Stal. So humans, they want to be connected to outside. Means to the nature, to the people walking, to animals, to birds flying. All right, let's move on to next slide. What are the features of a LEED certified buildings? Look at the first two items. You're gonna save money and you're gonna have higher initial costs. What does it make sense how you're saving money but you're having higher initial cost?
Yeah, because your operating cost would reduce probably.
Mm-hmm.
You're using less energy, so you will pay less for example, energy. So you will get your money back after a couple of years, but you will invest more money at the beginning.
Exactly. So if you are a lead consultant and developer says, hey, this is gonna cost me 10% more, you should come up with the answer that you're gonna get your money back. For how many years? By how many years? This is something that you have to calculate. But the return of investment for the LEED buildings in Canada, because we have a higher heating load, is something between 5 to 8 years. But in other countries, let's say in US, in Florida, you can get it in 3 years. So it depends on the location, but in Canada, in Toronto, it's something like 5 years. How much is more expensive? Anyone knows?
What, LEED?
Yeah. Okay. I cannot answer this question now. I need to inform you of something else. So keep this question in your mind and we'll come back to it. What kind of buildings can get LEED certification? Anything. It could be commercial, healthcare, residential, retail, schools, you just name it. It's so comprehensive. You can work on any building and at different phases of a building, from inception, which is your design, which is your site assessment, to your demolition. Perfect. Let's get to most important slide here. I have different types of certification. For example, the first one is BD plus C. What does it mean? Building design and construction. The second one is interior design and construction, which most of the architects will go with this one. Then I have O&M, operation and maintenance. Then I have ND called neighborhood development, and I have LEED for homes. Now let's have a look at this diagram. As an individual, you're gonna start with this step, which is LEED Green Associate. LEED Green Associate gives you a general information. You're not gonna be perfect at it, but you know your terms. You can understand most of the fundamentals. Once you got your LEED Green Associate, you can go through one of these. You can be LEED AP, BD plus C, Building Design Plus, and Construction. You can be Neighborhood Development, Operation and Maintenance, Homes, and Interior Design and Construction. Now you remember I asked you how much does it cost to be a LEED certified building? The answer depends on certification levels. I have different certification levels of the building. It's based on what? It's based on the points that I can get. The first one is certified. I have to get 40 to 49 points. Then I have silver, 50 to 59 points. Then I have gold, 60 to 79 points. And then I have platinum, it goes 80 plus, which is 80 to 110 points. So just a rule of thumb for certified buildings, it's something like 2% higher initial cost than traditional buildings, and it goes up to 10 to 15%. And which one is better? Obviously, the more points you get, it means that your building is more efficient and is more compliant to LEED fundamentals. Any questions on this slide?
I have a question. How would you know which level your building is going to be? Is it going to be silver, gold? Because when you start to build the construction, you might have unforeseen conditions. You might get more points or less points.
There are two terms here. At your design, for example, I am designing the energy systems for my building. I do my calculations and I compare it with ASHRAE 90.1. As I said, LEED is developed by US, ASHRAE is for US, so the benchmarking system is by ASHRAE. So I compare my building with ASHRAE 90.1. Let me show you an example actually. Okay. Yep, let's have a look at this slide. Can everyone see this? Let me see if I can. Is this clear enough for you guys? Okay, perfect.
Yes, that's good.
So here, we did an energy modeling for a building. Baseline design is my ASHRAE 90.1, right? Then I have two cases. For example, I am using efficient equipment, which is package 1. And for package 2, I'm using very high-end equipment, which is more costly, more expensive. Let's see the results. For the package 1, I've got 1% better than ASHRAE 90.1. For the package 2, I got 18.1%. This is just a model, right? Now I go back to my table, which is for the LEED. See, if I get 1%, basically, I'm not going to get any point from this energy credit. What if I consider package 2, which is 18%? Okay, so for 18%, I'm getting 7 points. How about I try to improve it a little bit more, make it 20%, and get 8 points? Now, this is the time that all of the trades need to see it, meaning the engineers, lead consultant, the project owner, and see, okay, I can get 1 more point here, and your cost is going to be 10,000 extra. Now it's their decision to see that 10,000 extra, what is the return of investment for that? What are the advantages? Then the team can decide how many points you want from that point. But when you apply for LEED certification, it's at the first point, you will be at pre-approval phase. Means that my target is to get LEED Silver. I am targeting to get 52 points. How about after construction for some incidents you couldn't reach to 50? Still, there is no problem. You can revise it to certified. So at your design phase, you tentatively consider LEED Silver, but you never know what is going to happen. Maybe at the end, you see that it's better than LEED Silver. By spending a little bit extra, you can get better certification level. What is the...
Soroush, may I say something?
Sure.
So I don't want to interrupt, and it's a very good discussion, but because we have only 10 minutes, so do you want to, I don't know if you have more to wrap it up, and if you want to ask audience for some questions.
I need 15 more minutes, if it's fine with you guys.
Yeah, we're going to stay a little bit more. But yeah.
Okay, I want people enjoy today's presentation. Now, I talk about these points. I want to show you something very cool. And that one is nothing but LEED credit cards. Let's have a look at these credit cards. What are the items that LEED is talking about? The first one is location and transportation. For example, it's talking about sensitive land protection. I don't want to build my property or my building on a sensitive land. Let's build my building at a high priority site. Means that let's target building in downtown Toronto, which I have many diverse users over there. So I can get either 1 point or 2 points. I collect the points here. The next one is sustainable sites. What does it mean? It means that during construction, I want to make my building, but still I want to have sustainable environment. I don't want too many pollutions to go to my air and to the water, right? And I want to have open spaces. In front of the building, let's have kind of a garden that people can see it and enjoy their time. Then I have water efficiency. It could be outdoor water reduction or indoor water reduction. For example, for my landscapes, which is outdoor, let's use native plants that you don't need to water them a lot, right? And for indoor, have you seen these dual flush tanks? I think many buildings you are seeing it. That's one of the things that you can fit it here. Then the most points is for energy and atmosphere. I guess it makes sense because we talked about it. About 40% of the energies for the building is for heating and cooling, right? So there are high opportunities here to get points. You can get up to 33 points, which is very good. Then I have my material and resources, where I get my material from. Is it from a sustainable site or no? Then I have indoor environmental quality, could be indoor quality, minimum acoustic, low emitting materials, and mainly thermal comfort, interior lighting, daylight. We'll discuss this in details during the courses. And the interesting thing here is we have something called innovation. I want the lead frame, the lead fundamentals, lead standards to be developed. I don't want to say something and everyone follows that one. I want the people be innovative. Let's innovate something. Let's find the solution to have more efficient building. So if you see, you can get even more points over here, up to 6 points. Any questions regarding this table? So based on these items, you calculate your points and then see if it's between 40 to 49, you get certified. If more than that, you get silver, and it goes up and up. All right, if there is no question, because of the time, I have to go back to the slides.
Jump in if you have any question. If not, so Soroush can go to the next slide.
So there was no, I assume there was no question in that chart.
Yeah.
Just want you to family. Okay, let's have a look at this slide for 1 minute and tell me what are the features of this building that could possibly get LEED certification. 1 minute, let's see.
Everything written.
Sorry, what?
Everything that is written there is good. So they're probably going to get some views, some points.
Okay, for example, which one? Can you talk about native plantings? What does it mean?
So native planting probably means that you choose plants that probably need less maintenance and water consumption. So that reduces the overall consumption of water, and that gives you some points.
Exactly. It goes to the water efficiency credit, right? What else you can see here?
In this building, we are using the wastewater from rain, I think, to watering the flowers or the plants.
Exactly. So it helps me with the water efficiency credit, right? Perfect. What else? Our architects. So see, this one is east, this one is west, and I have 2 trees over here. Why east and west?
Using the shade of the trees for cooling system, I mean?
Exactly, exactly. But why east and west?
Also, the south light is always the strongest, and we need the energy of light to come inside.
That's good. but why I'm trying to put some shades from east side and the west side?
Maybe for winter and summer. In winter, save about some energy of the heating and the sun, and in the summer, use the shadow or something, I think so.
What's wrong with the east and west side of the building? What is the angle of the sun during that?
The sun arrays from east to the west, and directly to the direction because of the radiation and some effects to the heating load.
Right. Usually I don't like the sun when it rises from east or west. I like the sun comes through south and north. This is the reason. What else I have here? Yeah, go ahead.
Because the angle is lowest, so it creates glare.
Exactly. Yeah, very good point.
We have energy star appliances.
Very nice. What does it mean?
For energy efficiency, they use less energy.
Perfect. So energy star is kind of a label you put on your appliances. You can see it in your kitchen. Means that that equipment is good.
And we have a solar panel on the roof.
Which means that I would like to have some renewable energies.
Yeah.
Very nice. Who knows about this one? Low or zero VOC? VOC means volatile organic compounds.
Indoor air quality?
Indoor air quality. What's the problem with the VOC materials?
So they are volatile, so they get into the air and then it can be bad. It can be harmful for the health.
Exactly. For example, some kind of the carpets that we are having in our houses, right? During the time, it's basically emitting kind of a gases. It makes you get headache. It decreases the indoor air quality, right? Is there anything else that I am missing here? Let's have a look at the roof. Yeah, metal, light colored roofing. What is this for?
It prevents for heat island because
exactly. What is heat island?
Some of the material absorb the heat and they cause to make the surface more hotter than the other surface.
Exactly. So it absorbs the heat during the day and rejects that heat during the night. That's why in downtown Toronto, because of so many heat islands, so many heat hard surfaces, the temperature during night comparing to an area like Aurora is going to be 2 to 3 degrees higher. This is effect of heat island. We don't like this one. All right, very good. I guess because of the time, I have to move on, but that was great. Now let's talk about the common questions. Why I need to get LEED designation? The first thing is interest of any individual. They like to be knowledgeable in terms of the energy, environment, how to design a building. And the second thing is everyone knows how competitive it is to get a job in these fields. And these days you're seeing that in job requirements, they are asking for LEED certification. So I would say this is kind of a motivation that you can go get your LEED designation. I guess it will help. Who is eligible? Basically, every individual is eligible. You just need to be interested and passionate. That's the only thing. And you have to be more than 18 years old. Do you need any prerequisites required? No, nothing. You don't need to be an engineer. You don't need to be an architect. It doesn't matter. Everyone can get this certificate designation. How you can register for your exam? You have to go to usgbc.org, create an account, and then you can register for the exam. How much does it cost? It's $250 US dollars. But if you're a student, I would say take this opportunity because there is a $150 discount, if I'm not mistaken. Is there any expiry date on your certificate or designation? Yes, it is, but it doesn't mean that you have to go and rewrite the exam. So as an individual, once you get your lead designation, you need to fulfill some required hours. It's called CE, or continuing education. You could either work on some lead projects or attend some workshops. They want you to be updated. They want your knowledge to be improved every day. How to maintain your designation? You have to fill a form containing those CE hours and just explain your experience and the workshops you attended. How does the exam look like? So exam is 100 multiple choice questions. You have 2 hours. The passing score is 85%. Examiner is prometric. What is the exam type? Before, it used to be like IELTS exam. You had to go to the exam center and write it, but now you can do it from home because of the COVID. Thanks to the COVID, this is at least a good thing. And there's an option you can write your lead GA with your lead AP. I think they give you a little bit discount, but I don't recommend it because it's going to be very tough and it's going to be a very long exam. Exam questions include sustainability. You have to know what does sustainable mean, what does green building means, what are the lead rating systems, what is integrative process, what is the importance of location transportation, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, material and resources, from where you're getting your material, indoor environmental quality, for example, are you having thermal comfort, how you can get your thermal comfort. You can have some questions in innovation in design, as I mentioned, how we can have something innovative, what are the features, and the more interesting thing is something called regional priority. As I mentioned, LEED is very, very, very comprehensive. What does it mean? Consider a building in downtown Toronto. We have lots of rainfall, right? Compare this to like a Nevada, a place in US. The amount of rainfall is very, very less comparing to Toronto. So LEED wants to promote something called regional priority. For example, in Nevada, if you go through water efficiency, you could get some extra points because water is important in Nevada, right? Comparing to Toronto. Or if my project is in downtown Toronto, because I have so much heat islands over there, you could get some extra points if you work through the heat islands. All right, now we are at the end of the presentation. I would be happy to discuss and answer your questions.